Hello and good evening, everyone. On behalf of Thai Global Summit 2020, I, Nidhi Baushe, Executive Director, Untitled Chapter, welcomes you all to a track. Concept is sustainability, every individual's responsibility. With that, I am delighted and it's my privilege to introduce moderator and speaker of the track. Nisha Poddar, she'll be moderating this session. She's from CNBC TV 18. We have a two stalwart speaker with us, Lubomila, CEO and co-founder Plan A. And we have with us Don Kenter from Privia. So over to you, Nisha.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's going to be a very interesting discussion because sustainability is the buzzword today. Everybody's talking about sustainability in the post-pandemic time. And one thing that we do gather from all the investor community and people around us is that in our daily lives, as well as in our investment and the way we do business, there has to be sustainability. That means we have to be future ready and also leave something for our future generations to have a sustainable lifestyle. I'm glad to have both Lubomila as well as Dawn on this panel who are doing so much in the sustainability space. Let me welcome both of them on the panel. Lubomila, starting with you, what is the vision of your company and which area of sustainability is what you're spending time on and occupied with?
Thank you so much for having me here. And thank you, Nisha, for the question. My company's name is Plan A, and we empower companies to use our tools to essentially learn how to be sustainable and reduce their negative impact on the planet. The tools that we use are science and machine learning.
Right, we'll delve deeper into what you do, Lubomila, and there are many interesting things on the carbon savings aspect as well and reduction of carbon emission. Dawn, coming to you, of course, essentials, when we talk about in the COVID and the pandemic situation, we have seen essential services really included food. This is one area where you work, and what is it that we are looking out for when it comes to sustainable food production?
Thank you all for having me here today. It's a real honor, and still a little bit nervous because I heard it's a big show. A lot of people are listening, and hopefully we are all able to give a little bit of our vision and mission today. Thank you for that. We do believe in Priva, and that's a strong belief, and that's something that comes from the heart of the company, and especially also our CEO, Maini Prince. We see that the world is changing. Big cities are rising, big cities becoming bigger. Many people are moving to the cities and need and wanted to have safe food productions for not only themselves, but also for the children. And with the COVID, we saw that traveling, bringing those food to the cities was a major problem. And we, with our solutions, with our technology that we are supplying within Priva, with the hardware and software devices, we are aiming to get those food productions, those indoor facilities near the city where we can produce sustainable food, healthy food next to the people who need it most. So that's where we strongly believe in, and hopefully today we can make more and more people enthusiastic about what we are trying to aim, and of course companies that can join the industry.
That's right, and essential food services very important. And another area where we saw a huge amount of bottleneck during the pandemic situation was the supply chain aspect. Lubomila will throw more light on that. Help us understand the climate change aspect and the impact on supply chain in various countries and for various companies.
During COVID, we had unfortunate yet quite eye-opening opportunity to see how supply chains are not so stable and how they're so dependent on the decisions that are being made on one side of the world to impact the other. We are a global village, and we actually rely a lot on each other to be able to feed ourselves, to be able to produce the products that we need, to be able to have these masks, for example, that all of us have been using on a day-to-day basis. Climate change is actually impacting significantly extreme weather events, for example. What we're going to be seeing more and more in the future is high intensity, which means that the traditional extreme weather events that we've seen, natural disasters, which are not created by climate change, will be intensified by climate change, which would mean that essentially statistics tell us that basically we have a likelihood of increase of 4 to 5 times of these kinds of events. What does this mean? Well, that means disturbed supply chains. That means more costly decisions because maybe of a new path of products moving. And it also means lack of durability in many cases. I think we have had this year in particular a wake-up call to understand this. And through our technology, because we have an algorithm that is able to predict these kinds of activities, we were able to really visibly see that we need to rethink the way we produce. We need to rethink the way we think about mass consumption, which needs to happen in a more sustainable manner that is not so focused on single-use plastics, single-use products, and also over-packaged goods.
Right. So, Luvumila, I have a question for you on this. See, climate change is not a new concept. This is something that for many decades now, the countries have been working together. UN has been working together. I'll tell you, in my marketplace, single-use plastic has been banned long time back. What is the wake-up call that COVID situation has brought, and what is this big thrust coming in the climate change aspect, which you think is now changing the world and moving more towards sustainability?
COVID allowed us to all of a sudden unite all together against one single problem that had to be solved, which was a virus. Climate change has been given as a problem and discussion point to us for many decades now. The problem has been that there's, first of all, a lot of definitions of climate change. There's a lot of different problems that in combination actually in a compiled manner lead to the totality of climate change, which makes it really confusing for people to enable themselves to understand what is their role to play in the whole big picture. I think COVID, as unfortunate as it has been to go through 2020 for any given individual on this planet, for some more than for others, but certainly really challenging year, we all of a sudden started seeing what are the effects of our activities where we enter certain habitats that we should not be entering. COVID has been caused by the fact that we have entered wildlife habitats that are not allowed for humans. They should not be touched by humans. And this has been driven by the fact that we're accessing from their natural resources. We're also essentially influencing the biodiversity. I think it's really useful for us to finish the year as we're finishing in December now with a really big thought on actually how climate change with this one single event has been able to impact us so much. What does this leave us to think about all these other issues that we still have unsolved? Pollution, waste management, air quality, and so on.
That's right. In fact, air quality has been the best when the flights were not taking off in the lockdown situation. But then the biggest challenge for climate change and sustainability has also been where to strike the balance between development and sustainability. So that's the biggest challenge we still don't have an answer to. Dawn, food and water still remains the prime need for human beings. Help us understand more on where you are working on food production sustainability and what are these new measures, the upcoming trends that you're working towards?
Yes, thank you for that question, because I think that's one of the most important issues at the moment. You have to imagine that the solutions that we are offering now, that every drop of water, every drop of fertilizer will be reused in the food production itself. There is no loss of water, no loss of fertilizer, and every energy that will go into the indoor facility will come out as a product. So that's one. I think that's important. But also we are now able to use the cities, which also brings a lot of water back into the environment. Think at sewage. We are now able to change and reuse that water and also the energy of the cities, bringing it back in these food productions. So we are now urbanizing the cities in the water consumptions they need, and they bring back, bring back
Yes,
into the environment, and the same thing they do with the energy production, which comes back into the environment. We are now able to collect that all with facilities nearby those big cities and bring that back as a healthy and safe product. And I think
right.
that's the key role within the success of the new cities arising, because it's not only helping people to have better food, but it also helps to environment to live in those cities. And we see
Sure.
an example is the Netherlands. The Netherlands is one big city. It's a small country. It's when you look at
Yes.
the size, it's a big city, which you have in India and China. But the way we're trying to live in it, you have those green belts, we call that green belts, green areas, where they're producing food on a very sustainable and also profitable way. It's a profitable business. And together,
Yes.
the way to live in those areas is also improving.
All right. So saving water is, I think, something that every country has really recognized and working towards. Here in India, I can say the government is putting a lot of thrust on
Yeah.
that. I want to understand one thing. You said new cities. These cities, more sustainable cities. Are we just talking about the new, smart, sustainable cities, or can this be really incorporated in older cities like Mumbai, where I stay in?
Yes, no, of course, of course. Sorry for that. It's also we do it in Shanghai, we do it in Kentucky. Many big cities are now entering our industry and saying,
Is
"How
Cape
can
Town also one of the candidate
Yeah,
for
Cape
this?
Town and
Okay.
Bombay, and I love, and that's why I'm here today. We are more than willing and willing to go to the India market, and we were looking for companies to join up, because we do believe, and you can see the picture behind me with all the wheels coming together by collaborations with Indian companies,
Yes.
because we cannot do it by ourselves. We
All
need
right. So,
local governments and
right.
companies.
I want to understand the cost component of this, Don, because sustainability, if it comes at a huge cost and cuts into your bottom line, then it's not feasible, right?
No.
And for developing countries like India, Brazil, it may not be as promising right now. Maybe in future, though we have to conserve water as much as the developing countries do. What is the cost structure that we are looking at? And are sustainable companies also looking at making the cost sustainable?
We all know that sustainability comes with a price. And if you want to keep sustainability alive, you have to have a model that brings also the price into the sustainability. So we have worked so hard within our industry to make a model that make it sustainability. You're saving water, you're saving fertilizers, you're saving energy. It's reducing the cost, making the product much more feasible, and it's safe to eat, so people are ready to spend more
Yes,
money. I can guarantee you it's a good business case, because else sustainability has
sure.
no future. We have to find those connections where you can help the local people
Right.
having a job, bringing money in their pockets, and also making sure
Yes.
that the companies who are investing in these kinds of technologies are making money for it, or
All
else
right.
it will
Yes.
not be a success.
No, no, it's well established, but I'll come back to you for more on where is the traction for this. But Lubomila, you've been quiet for a very long time. Help us understand the CO2 measurement software and how it can be used, and our company is now really lining up for that. And I have a counter question to that: that why will companies want to go for this? But first, help you understand the CO2 measurement aspect.
Every single activity that a human or a company undertakes actually has an environmental footprint, and it has not embedded in the way we price things at the moment, but it is there with its impact and also the repercussions that we see in terms of climate change. What we have developed is a software that enables companies to automate the processes where possible when it comes to data collection, visualizes their emissions, and then gives them recommendations on how they can reduce their emissions. I can second Don, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity for both of us to be here. But from the planet perspective, we're also looking to enter the Indian market. So anyone who's listening and is interested in supporting us in doing so, please get in touch.
Yes.
I think I would like to connect my question, the question you gave me, to what also was the question to Don in terms of the cost of sustainability. And it also
Sure.
connects to what you were asking, why companies are taking these actions. Why do they even want to be sustainable? There's three main reasons why companies have taken these steps. One is the durability. If you, and this one is durability, another one is scalability, and then the third one is externalities. When it comes to durability, the idea of being sustainable might be in people's mind connected to cost, but the truth is that there's a lot more resilience when you invest in a sustainable model, sustainable materials, sustainable process in the longer term. Of course, short-termism doesn't allow for these ideas to be embedded in the way we do things. But for anyone that is a business owner that knows that they want their business to be there in 10, 15 years, sustainability is a must-have aspect of their
Sure.
business. The second
Hmm.
aspect is scalability. When it comes to costs of sustainability, the only reason why there's a premium is because we still find it somehow exotic or think that there's something that is not necessarily accessible about sustainability. The truth is that with scalability, the last 5 years have proven that you can access a lot of sustainable products and tools at a cost that is absolutely competitive to what else is on the market. And then the final
Right.
aspect, which is externalities. Businesses
Hmm.
are understanding that they cannot attract investors if they don't act on the ESG framework, if they don't act on SDGs in terms of their mindset. And also, they're not able to attract customers and
Hmm.
also potential employees. All of these factors cost money, and maybe they're not quantified in people's minds when they think about sustainability, but they end up being actually the money you don't need to pay if you have thought about sustainability.
That's right. In fact, Louisville, you've very nicely put it, an exhaustive account of the reasons. But one more reason I would like to add, and you can also throw more light on that, is that when the investor community, when your market participants start valuing you more because of your sustainability thrust, that's when the companies start moving towards it. It's an ecosystem which needs to be developed as well, and ultimately it has to materially show some impact. So the ESG, that is environment, social, as well as corporate governance standards that the companies need to maintain, and sustainable investing becoming a big thing for some of the biggest fund managers globally. Is that also coming into play in the requirement of your company, your products?
You are totally right in terms of saying that there's a need for maturity, and we're kind of in the beginning of a revolution that hopefully is going to leave us with a more sustainable reality. Investors and some of our clients that are from venture capital funds are actually finding it really easy to digest the ESG frameworks, which makes them want to see these kinds of features within the product, which is why we've embedded them into the way our product functions. For those of you from the listeners that are not familiar, ESG factors evaluate companies on how advanced they are with regards to environmental, social, and governance metrics or activities, so to say, which is kind of an integrated way of looking into the bigger picture problems that we face. But yeah, you nailing the problem on the head. Like, this is exactly how investors are thinking about the
Yes.
topic.
Yes.
Of course, and I'll give
Absolutely.
you one example that green energy companies have a much higher valuation than the conventional coal-based energy companies have in global markets across the world, in India, in the US,
Yeah.
everywhere. So that is the biggest reason why green energy and the ESG money going into green energy is giving it more trust. Yes, Don, you want to add more to this particular aspect, that there has to be an ecosystem that needs to be built, and there has to be a push to the companies to make that extra effort.
Yes, yes. And there are already examples, also within India. We have a big company called Simply Fresh. He's already proceeding this challenge of bringing this
Hmm.
industry at a level that he can ask also a
Hmm.
better price for his product. So, and indeed, we see newcomers in North America, for example, where investors are not only investing in the product itself, but also in the community around it. making the people a part of what is happening in their industry, realizing that, okay, if this is the way to go, then we understand the whole concept behind it. And I think this is a trend who's just starting now. COVID maybe helped to speed this up, but I
Yes.
think within the next generations, people will align more and more and understand that we have to do something. And it is fun. It's fun doing. And not only that, if you do it right and you do it with the right companies, with the right people, and you join up, it's also visibility is very good. So it's a
Can you give me a
combination.
sense on how this traction is developing, like in the last 9 months in the post-COVID era? Is the demand for or the inquiries coming into your company are higher? Can you give me a
Oh, yeah.
sense on that?
Yeah, it's much higher. The funny, no, not fun, but you see that people are more eating at home. So they're
Yes.
giving more thought about, oh, where is this product from? Because we spend a lot of time of finding out where the phone came from, but not where
Yes.
our food came from, which is
Right.
strange. Because I can tell you, you can do without a phone, or not everybody, with a month,
But
and you're still alive.
you
But
are what you eat. You are what you eat. Yes, yes, you are what you
absolutely,
eat, and organic food is picking up pace, at least in my neighborhood. I can say that. But
yes,
how do you quantify the returns, Don? When you make the sales pitch, how do you quantify the returns? It's investing in future. Is there a metrics by way of which you get your clients to understand your business?
of course. And the example is here. It's in the Netherlands. It's here. It's already. It's a proven fact. It's not something new. In the Netherlands, we have basic systems where we can show our investors, these guys are growing on a very sustainable way, reusing energy, reusing
Right.
water, and they have a great life. They
All
doing
right.
great. The people who they're working have it great, and we see
Good
that.
to hear that.
Yeah, and
Good to
hopefully
hear
that's
that,
why we
Don. Good
like
to
to
hear that.
invite all those Indian people in the near future. We like to visit them, and it's there, it's out there. It's not rocket
Right.
science. We can do it,
Right.
and there are possibilities. Only we have to do it together. So hopefully this format, and Lubomilia already said it also very well. That we hopefully today people are listening and try to
Yes.
contact both our companies and see where we can add the added value for all those industries within India.
You've made a very strong pitch, Don, I must say. But Luvumila, final word to you, and very quickly. Of course, COVID-19 has changed one more thing, which is the online setup, the digital trust, and the technological revolution is much faster. Very quickly, sneak peek into how sustainability is becoming much more doable with the use of technology.
One of the examples that I can give of hundreds is our software, which essentially enables companies to focus on what is most important for our planet at the moment, which is carbon reduction. We remove the obstacles to kind of calculate your emissions and understand where the problem zones are, to then focus on the activities that can enable you to really contribute to a more sustainable planet. I think what is most important in this dynamic, when we think about the big picture, digitization and sustainability, we, first of all, now are able to learn from each other. Collaboration is made easier than ever through online tools, but then also innovation happening in India can be really easily transposed in anywhere else in the world because of the way the world operates at the moment. Further innovation that is important to mention is the aspects where we are more sustainable with resources and their use, just because we have been able to quantify and measure actually the savings made by taking this stance and choice, which is what we do with our software. So I think it's really important to understand that technology can give us transparency that sometimes with the wrong perception of sustainability needs to be adapted.
Of course, to find the solution, you have to find the various data points to support the impact as well. And that the science and technology and data, artificial intelligence is helping us do it much better than we have ever done in the past. But thank you so much, Lubomila, as well as Don, for sharing your thoughts. In fact, I learned a lot from this particular discussion. And just one word from me, that sustainability has to be a habit. It's our responsibility, and each unit has to be responsible. But I would also say that as the ecosystem develops and as there is demand for more sustainable products, the sustainability will also come at a more sustainable cost. And that's where we'll strike the real balance. Thank you so much,
Yes.
both of you. And I hand it back to the organizers. And thanks to Thai Global Summit for really giving us the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Nisha. And really, it was a wonderful, amazing deep dive insight on the topic. So, thank you so much, Lubamila and Dawn. And thank you so much, Nisha, for moderating the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for